Hey, okay, welcome back. We're going to continue from where we left off with the Flask videos, deploying Flask on a DigitalOcean server. And just remember, this is for primarily for my students, so nothing fancy, just getting the job done. So here we are at my my own home machine, Gru, my desktop machine here, and I'm going to connect back to the DigitalOcean server. So here's my IP address of the DigitalOcean server. If I just, oh, that's the name of it, that's fine. If you log in later on to DigitalOcean, you'll see your droplets, you'll get the IP address here. We'll talk about dealing with the IP address later. And so let's go, we can click on it here if you want to see whatever, but let's copy over the IP address. So I'm going to SSH to that IP address. Since I set up the SSH key last time, I don't have to do anything special, I'm logged in. I'm going to do a sudo su. Actually, I don't want to do sudo su, you don't have to do that. So let's get out of that. Notice that there is absolutely nothing here. So I can get to work. So let's work. So let's say I'll need my virtual environment, virtual env, and I want this to be a Python 3 virtual environment, and we'll call this Flask environment. So now we're going to do source. We want to start the virtual environment, so we're going to start the Flask environment /Flask environment, then activate. So it's activated. So now we're in that environment. So now our default Python. Let's actually deactivate, and our Python by default is 2.7. But if we activate, we're in our virtual environment. It's 3.5. And so now I'm going to do a pip install Flask. So it's going to do its magic. And now if I type Python and I import Flask, it imports, it's all there. But again, notice I'm in the virtual environment. If I deactivate and I do Python import Flask, it's not there. So let's get back into the environment, hit up arrows a couple of times, and now we can work on our project. And you can put the project anywhere you want. Why don't we make something called Demo Project 1? And what we'll do for this is let's just go to Flask here, and let's just copy and paste our little demo application. And what we can run now is Python app.py, and now it's listening on port 5000. And I don't know if there's actually defaults, so we can get, that's on localhost. That's actually a problem. We're not going to be able to get to that. If we actually go to copy our IP address, port 8000, it's not going to go there. So we have to make a little change. So let's edit app.py. I'll turn off font lock. I'll make it a little bit easier to read. And so we're going to say host equals 0000. And port equals 8000. So now we're running on 0000. We're listening to every interface, and port 8000. And now, woohoo, hello world. And what we're going to do here is we can open up another terminal, SSH to there, CD into demo project 1. Now let's edit app.py. And let's change this by saying hello world. Okay, we've saved it, and I guess we'll have to restart this. And there we go, hello world. All right, so anyway, that's really the basics. We can have like H2 or another line. But the cool thing here is notice that it's not reloading here. That's not the cool thing, actually. That's not really cool. But notice that we're accessing this from the outside world, or from any machine anywhere, and that's really kind of cool. So let's look at something else. Let's look at, and the way I specify this is, notice the IP address and then colon port 8000. And we'll talk a little bit about how to get around that port 8000 and to clean things up a little bit over time. And also notice that we're using the Flask built-in web server. What I like doing if I'm going to leave something running is I like using green unicorn. So we'll do pip install unicorn. And so what we'll do here is unicorn. Green unicorn, it's, well, I mean, the easiest thing is just to go to the green unicorn. Okay, it's basically it's a WSGI compliant web server, and it basically, it's very easy to use. I like it because you can use it from the command line. If I just type gunicorn --help, I think that's right. It lets me specify a number of command line arguments, so I can give it worker connection, a whole bunch of stuff here. W is for the number of worker processes. Dash P in here somewhere is for the PID file. /D to make it a daemon. To put it in the background. Bind to a particular address. That's going to be important for us. So anyway, we can say, let's run green unicorn. Workers 4, and let's bind to 0, 0, 0, 0. 8000. Oops. App:\app. App is the name of our file, app.py, and app is our application. And so now if we reload our page, woohoo, it's still running. And that's great, and we can Control-C. And it's no longer running. But one of the cool things we can do is we can say -D to make this a daemon. The problem with making it a daemon is if we do this now, woohoo, it works, and we can log out and we can close this and we can log out here. We're no longer on our box and our thing is still running, and that's really cool because now it's running in the real world. The problem with that, though, is how do we stop it? Well, what you can do is you can look to see what's running under green unicorn. That's going to be 14439. Let's kill it with extreme prejudice. 14442. Oh, and it did kill all of them. But there's a much easier way to deal with this. So what I like doing is let's go to source. Let us start the Flask environment, bin activate, start our environment again. Let's go into our demo project. And now, instead, what we're going to do is green unicorn, workers 4, bind to 0000 port 8000. But what we're going to say is P, and we're going to store this in PID file. And then what we're going to do is app:\app, file app.py app, and seeing how much time we're taking on this. Okay, this one's almost done. I've got to spell green unicorn right. I forgot the -D, so let's and it created this file, PID file, and that's the main process ID that that I'm running under. So now, if I come over my web browser and I try to go here, ooh, look, it's running. That's really awesome. And I can log out. I can even close this window, and now my program is running, and I can show my friends all this cool stuff, this hello world stuff. But if I want to kill it later on, all I have to do is go into the demo. I don't even have to be in the don't want to be in the environment. I don't even have to be in the environment here. I have PID file, and I can just kill -9 14538, the PID, the process ID, and I'll just remove the PID file at this point. And it may take a little bit of time, but let's shift reload, and there we go, it's stopped. So that's a way of starting and stopping this. I mean, in the worst case, you can reboot the machine, and you can even do this from the DigitalOcean console if you go here and you can power cycle it. It's not the best way to do it, but all things, worst case, you can always do that. So anyway, this is how you can set up and run any Flask application. We're going to make this better by dealing with the domain name at some point. We're going to talk about how to get rid of the port 8000, so you can just go to the domain name and the machine name, it'll go automatically. And we're also going to talk about how to edit your files and develop them on your local machine. But I think this is about 10 minutes, so this is a good stopping. And once again, my finger clicked the mouse before I finished my sentence, so we're going to stop here. And the next time we're going to look at either setting up a domain name for this or possibly editing this remotely, one or the other, but we'll get to both of those. Okay, thanks. See you soon.